Yo, my peoples, what's up? My name is Jason. Thank you so much for joining me for another Dice Tower review. Today, I'm talking about Assassin's Creed Brotherhood of Venice from Triton Noir. I would normally show the box at this point, but it's a big box. I'm going to get to that when I get to the above the table. It is a box that is full of minis and tiles and adventure. It is based on the Assassin's Creed games, the series of games in particular that happened in the Italian Renaissance with Ezio Auditore. It is a stealth game. You'll be playing your band of assassins, and you're going to be assassinating people or capturing things or tower defense or escort quests. There's a lot of different missions and scenarios that are available in this campaign style game. Let me show you how it plays, and I'll tell you what I think. Without further ado, let's go to the videotape.
A box. Look at the size of this thing, and when you turn it over, this is just, really well made, really beautiful, really resonant with the game. Speaking of resonant with the game, you have the letters, which translated is the Assassin's Creed motto. Nothing is real, everything is permitted, or something like that. But that is the Assassin's Creed motto, so that's what I'm going with. So then you get to what is inside the main box, and it is chock full of stuff. So you have a rule book of a decent size. Well, it's not overwhelming for a game like this. Even bigger, this is what I like to see, scenario book, campaign booklet. Lots and lots of stuff to do in there. You got stuff for the enemies and also player boards. People love this. They don't want their cubes moving around or anything like that. So you got some nice player boards. The tiles, if you know Assassin's Creed, as I did when I opened it, I've played all the games. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, I remember this. I remember how the different tiles felt when I went through it. Oh, there, the last one is a secret. I do not want to show you that right now. You have a ton of different tiles to be able to craft different scenarios, urban, rural, and maritime, all that kind of stuff. You have stickers. This is for permanence in the campaign. You don't need to use them, but it's nice to be able to mark your progress. I will get into how exactly you progress in a little bit. And here is the star of the show. This is why the box is so big. This is going to be, I remember when I posted about this and people were like, oh my God, how many minis are these? That most of the box really is minis. So you have most of your, these are your mobs, really. And then you have your characters that are right there. Sorry, they're not painted, so they don't have that pop or anything like that. And then you have the bigger mobs. You have, if you remember the Assassin's Creed game, you how you're dealing with plenty of guards on horseback. And you have the flying machine from Leonardo da Vinci right there. I really appreciate that they did this. This is a page to tell you exactly where the minis go. I am not a minis person. I don't recognize molds, where they go in the holders or anything like that. So I really appreciate that they tell you exactly where stuff goes. And last but not least, here is the base, where you have a lot of the game pieces are in here. So you have a lot of pieces that are stuck in there in that well. Things are they really maximize the space in this one. If you know about the tank, that's a tank. So you're going to have a big sprawling map at some point to get take advantage of that tank. And here are all of the scenario envelopes. Lots of scenarios. There's, I think, 4 complete memories, which have like 3, 4, or 5 adventures. You get a tutorial. So much stuff here for Assassin's Creed. So now that I've showed you everything in the box, let's get to the action. So here are your characters, and as I showed you, these are the envelopes that will unfold the action. So you have your villa, which is going to be where you put a bunch of your useful stuff as you go on. Your characters, or my characters that I've chosen, Daria and Alessandria, they're going to have some stuff in here. These you're going to be able to store your stuff, and also there are hidden unlocks, craftables. There's so much as you progress through the campaign. So it's not like this is a one-shot deal. There's plenty more in this where that came from. This is the tutorial scenario. I have already gone through 0.1, 0.2, and 0.3, and I have 0.4 laid out. So that is everything is going to come from the envelopes. Let me show you the characters first. Here is Alessandria. When you first begin the tutorial, you are going to be an assassin apprentice, nothing special. And then you're going to go through the tutorial at level 0, and you're going to have a simple power. And then eventually you are going to be able to go through level 1, level 2, level 3, gaining experience, gaining in power, gaining in items. So this is the health tracker. You'll recognize this, Assassin's Creed fans. You have a certain amount of health, so in this case 3. I happen to have found some armor along the way, so that the equipment carries over from scenario to scenario, and it gave me an extra health. Y'all remember that from the video game, right? There you go. I also have some weaponry. What assassin is complete without weaponry? A mace or a sword. I can find all sorts of stuff. You have your ranged weapon over here, in this particular case, throwing knives. Of course, you'll be able to find more stuff. But here is my favorite. This is what makes Assassin's Creed. The Hidden Blade. If you are incognito, eliminate one guard in your square. Do not break stealth. Ha ha! So much fun with the Hidden Blade. And of course, you have one-shot items, tools of the assassin's trade. You'll find these along the way. These won't quite make sense, but the parachute is a big one that you get in the early game. Let me show you that. So let's get going with a sample turn of Assassin's Creed. First thing that will happen is that we will pull from the event deck. And this deck was built over the course of the different tutorial missions. This will kind of provide a global condition for the round. Sometimes it will help your stealth or hurt your stealth or impede your movement in some way. Definitely sets the tone. So you're going to want to plan around what the event deck gives you. And then you get your 3 actions. So then this character, and oh, by the way, I should probably point this out. This is the fast travel station. Any Assassin's Creed fan would know this. Generally, missions are going to have you do whatever you're doing and then come back and fast travel. And there are missions with multiple maps, so you'll be able to travel between the maps using the fast travel station. Very cool, very thematic to the game. Movement is super simple. You want to move 1 space per activation. That's it. No moving diagonal, and also no moving through these walls. If you notice, there is a black line over here. That indicates that I cannot pass through that. I could ordinarily walk through rooftops, and like that stuff doesn't bother an assassin, but walls, no go. So as I mentioned before, I get to jump in the canal, and if you remember the original Assassin's Creed, sploosh. I get to swim around, and I stick my little head out, and I swim and keep myself incognito. Notice there is a guard over here that they don't see things. There's no line of sight, there's no facing or any of that kind of thing. Detection is as simple as entering a enemy square. So then, if you enter the enemy square, you are going to roll a die, and I happen to get a good result, which is, whew, thank goodness, you have a 2 in 6 chance of being detected, and also if you have sounded the alarm, then that goes way up. But since the alarm is out in green, let me go ahead and show you that. Green right there, that's the start of every mission. That means that I am safe. So no detection, and I am ready to kill a fool. So I have some options here. So I'm still incognito. So that is the color base that I have that indicates that I am incognito. I can use my that hidden blade that I showed you before to remain incognito. I can also, if I really wanted to, use my mace, but I'm going to save that because as this indicates, this will be, I would reveal myself if I use that. So I save that for when I need it. But let's say that I was, I just feeling froggy and I wanted to kill them. Then you would roll the dice. You would roll as many dice as there are dice indicated on the card, and you would have different symbols. This would be a hit. This would trigger a special ability, and this would trigger a reprisal. So you do not want to roll reprisal versus an enemy. But let's say I was sneaky and I just shaked it with my hidden blade. That would be one action, and then for another action, I can hide the body. Oh, Assassin's Creed fans are going to love that. So, other options on your turn. If you have a element that the game identifies as a hiding spot for free, you can go into the hiding spot. So if I was out here and there was a guard, and on the guard turn they moved in, that would trigger a detection roll. But if I'm inside the hiding spot, then Where did he go? I don't know. I'm just going to hang out over... Oh! Another option on your turn for familiar Assassin's Creed fans is that you could scale the tower. So then if you don't have the fancy Kickstarter stuff, the Kickstarter actually came with a pretty hefty tower that you can put your figure on, completely cosmetic, not necessary. Just put them on the figure right there and you'll be fine. Or if you want that sense of verticality and absolutely anything works, let me go ahead and borrow from Tim Fowers hardback. Hi, Tim Fowers. And I will be able to go up there. That would be an action during the turn. While I'm up there, I can scan the area. In the original game, scanning the area would reveal map. So the map would not be revealed until you went to the top of an area. Usually they'd be like, 10 or 15 or whatever it is to uncover the whole map. Here, you would uncover secrets. So now I will turn over this card. I'm going to keep that secret from you for now. And, of course, it would not be a high spot if you couldn't do this. This is enabled by an item, which you get during the tutorial, a parachute. If you are on top of a tower, I can move to another roof. Let's go ahead and pretend that this guard is somewhere on a roof, and I would go, So once you are done with all your 3 actions, you can choose to use all your 3 actions, or you can save one for later. So that's pretty cool to have 4 actions on a future turn. But let's say you are done. Then the enemy goes. First thing that happens is you are going to get enemy spawns. You will get that from the cards, and the number of enemy spawns depends on the number of players. You get 2, 3, or 4. So then you would check the alert status. And this is one of the main things that really wants you to, incentivize you to keep as stealthy as possible. The game, the rulebook actually says at some point you are going to trigger the alarm. It's just, kind of built into the engine of the game. The science of the game is to try to stay as stealthy as possible. Why? Here. You see how few spawns there are relative to the alert side. So then because I'm calm, I would only put one little crossbowman at B, one at A. There'll be none at C. If, however, the alarm was triggered, I would have all sorts of different spawns to have to deal with. I would have one agile guard at B, and then 2 crossbowmen coming in at C. So that would be the enemy spawn turn. The next thing that happens is that they move. So then you know this because it's on the event card. So then you know that they move one space in any direction. So there is going to be a compass here so that you can orient yourself and your particular map. And then in this particular case, the spawns would move 1 step to the west. So then this character is going, oh no, what happened? And then they each guard that moved would roll dice. And then each spawn that moved would roll dice. And then pretty much inevitable, there is a detection that happens. It's not necessarily terrible. It's not like your game is over. But that is definitely not where you want to be. You would get this to show that you are what the game calls exposed. And in future movements, it would forego the direction and just move towards you. It is possible to get out of stealth if you leave the square. Then you would just leave the circle here, and you would the enemy would basically go towards the last seen spot. So you can definitely use that to your advantage if you have enough actions left. However, in this particular case, they had discovered me on the enemy turn, so I am stuck. And they would roll their dice. The dice are really simple. You either hit or miss. And you would take damage and then move on from there. As you complete each mission, you will note your progress in a diary of memories, and you'll be able to track if you won or if you lost, or there's certain conditions where if you got the sync of the tower, or if you completed a 100% sync extra thing on your mission, you'll have stickers that you'll be able to mark up your book. There are multiple diaries, so if you want to go through the same campaign with somebody else, then you could just mark that up with somebody else. There are craftable items, unlockable items. I showed you the tank and the flying machine; those are unlockables for different missions. There's so much to explore in Assassin's Creed: Brotherhood of Venice.
All right, so let's talk about this theme, Assassin's Creed. fabulous. 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10. In terms of my appreciation for this theme, I played with a giant smile on my face the entire time. And I've played a bunch of the sequences, not all of them, but a good number of them, to know that they have pulled from the original 3 video games in the Ezio Auditore cycle. You are doing so many of the same things, jumping off of buildings, hiding in the haystack, and hidden blade, hide the bodies before others can come through. Distracting guards, getting them to go one way and scooting in another way. The different missions, there's a lot of scenarios that are available, and I can definitely tell that a lot of them borrowed from the video game. And I won't spoil that, but you don't need to know the original game in order to enjoy this. Anyone who's enjoyed any stealth action game, we're talking Batman, Dishonored, Deus Ex, Splinter Cell, there's so many out there. I enjoy a good number of them, and I enjoy a good stealth game. This one does the thematics of it, soaking in the Assassin's Creed and stealth feeling in spades. Unbelievable job. Now let's talk about mechanisms. At its heart, Assassin's Creed is 2 games in one, each individual mission, I should say, of Assassin's Creed. There is the stuff you're doing before you're discovered, you're incognito, you're stealthing, you're sneaking, you're killing, you're hiding, you're doing all these things that you're familiar with if you played a lot of these stealth games. The rulebook is very obvious. At some point, you will trigger an alarm. The alarm might get triggered from a dice roll, from a detection roll, or just, doing the mission. And at that point, it becomes this kind of fracas where, mobs are just going to stream in from all the corners. You're never going to be able to win. You're just going to try to do the best you can to survive and get out. And the challenge of this game, Assassin's Creed, is to stay in stealth as long as possible before the alarm goes off. I struggle with that as a person who loves stealth games and video games, because with enough planning in a stealth video game, you don't have to leave stealth. That's the good stuff. Sneaking around, tracking the movement of the guards. I stay here, I'm going to go here, I stay. All the different things that you do to stay in stealth, and I just find that really rewarding, clever. What we come to board games for, being clever. I find that the cleverness is in the stealth. Once you trip that alarm, I don't find that to be a very clever experience. It's just survive and run. And even when you get into combat, the combat is, this is dice rolling. Like, it's my dice versus the enemy's dice. They're usually 4 or more mobs to deal with. So it's like, there's this great game, and then there's this suboptimal game, and the tension is be in the great game as long as possible before you get to the suboptimal game. Why can't I just be in the great game the entire time? Why can't I just stealth around the entire time? That is an intentional thing that Assassin's Creed, the board game, does. I know that because that's how the previous game worked. Assassin's Creed is based on a previous Triton Noir release called V Sabotage, formerly known as V Commandos. It did the same thing. It just, how long can you stay in stealth before you trip the alarm and becomes like a chaotic thing. What I appreciated about Assassin's Creed is that you get more tools to stay in stealth. V Sabotage, simple game. I haven't played the expansion of that one, but you didn't have a lot of tools to stay in stealth. You just kind of like praying that the dice will go your way. Here, you have craftables, items. I think there's more tools on the board with the stealth spots. And there's a lot more ways to kind of push that off and stay in what is an amazing stealth game in every single way, thematically, strategically, very rewarding. So I'm not going to comment about the minis because that is a total taste thing. Yes, this game does have 3/5 of the box, if not more, occupied by minis. And you can replace those with tokens. Perhaps if this game does really well, they will release another version that just has tokens, which this is what V Sabotage has. So I'm not going to comment on that. The your mileage may vary, but I did want to definitely notice that just in case you're wondering, do you really need those minis? I think you can accomplish the same thing, but if you enjoy your minis, these are some excellent, very paintable, very evocative pieces of plastic in this one. So at the end of the day, I really enjoyed this one. We're going to go Seal of Excellence here, 8.5. Maybe would reach a 9, but I really wanted to be able to stay in stealth the entire time and not have the big alarm and the minis flowing on there and running and dice chucking. That part, hit or miss for me. Sometimes it's really exciting, sometimes it's really overwhelming. But the stealth parts of the games, the missions, the different things that you do, the tools, the increased tools relative to the previous product to stay in stealth and feel clever and dodge around, and just the whole presentation with how well they've incorporated Assassin's Creed, all that put together makes a really, really fabulous experience that I'm going to be playing for a long, long time. So this is Jason reminding you, if you could change your mind, you could change the world. So until next time, later everybody.